to the next episode of the HMA Fantasy Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Jacob Hughley, and I am joined again today and always by my new co-hosts, Jack Mueller and Seth Gross. How you guys doing today? How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Excited to talk some wrestling again. And, yeah, it's a great day here in Madison.
Awesome. How about you, Jack? Change the scenery for the background for both of you guys.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm at the beach with my girlfriend's family, so I'm pretty pumped.
What beach?
Outer Banks.
Is that in Virginia?
No, it's
in Texas. Where?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Wow, I live in North Carolina. I should know that. I lived here for 2 years, and I've never been to the beach. And so I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but whatever. So we're going to get into this bracket today. I'm excited to do this one. This is something I've really been excited about for a little while because I think, you know, as a wrestling fan, for years and years, we always talk about, oh, this dude was one of the best guys to never win it. You know, like as a fan, I know you guys have been competing, you know, really hard over the last couple of years, so maybe not as much, but you know, I remember like just off the top of my head, like guys like Gilman, you know, when Gilman's senior year, when he didn't win it, it was like, I was a big Gilman fan, but like even taking that aside, that like hurt me personally, you know, it was like, dude, how did this guy not get one? So I'm excited to talk about it. I think it'll be cool to finally like put down at least what we believe is the best guy that didn't win one. And it's not something I've ever really heard anybody else do. Have you guys seen anybody do it out there? So, I mean, let's go ahead and get into it. What we're going to do and what my thoughts were are to – hold on one second. Let me pull this thing up. What my thoughts are to do is to go through – and obviously these guys are different weights, right? So we can't really – can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So obviously, I mean, we can't look at Sam Hazewinkel versus Joe LeBlanc in a literal sense, right? Because these dudes are completely different sizes. So, I mean, we can use whatever kind of criteria you guys want to do. I think for me, it's going to be like when I look at these two dudes, like who was better in their time and like more like who is supposed to win more, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and factoring in, obviously, you know, who they lost to, I think is an important thing. And then, I mean, one thing I was thinking about, are we looking, you know, at their career, you know, their whole career, like post-college too, or strictly looking, like, at their college career, trying to make, you know, a decision on it?
I don't know. I think that outside of the college career should definitely factor in, but I don't think it should be, like, the end-all, be-all, because, I mean – you know, I don't know.
Obviously, a dude that wins the Olympics, you know, could be a little bit easier to say, hey, he was a really good dude that didn't win a national title. So I think that really something to think about.
Yeah, it's hard to look at like someone like Nick Simmons who never won a national title but made world teams, ended Cejudo's career, sort of thing like that. Like, Nick Simmons, the wrestler, not think about his freestyle career.
Absolutely. I think it's all fair game. I mean, I don't think that it should be like, you know, if a guy got, you know, 7th 4 years in a row and then won an Olympic title, like, you know, I think we do definitely need to like kind of balance the college career because I think a lot of it is like when they were in college too. But yeah, for sure. I mean, Adam Coon got 2nd in the world. James Green was a bronze medalist. I mean, I don't even know looking around, but there's a bunch of guys like that had success on the world level, so it definitely should come into factor.
James Green, Brian Snyder, 1st round match.
No. There's several of these that like hurt me looking at where I was like, I really like this dude, but he's not going to even get a win. You know? Yeah. There's several of these.
Tyler Caldwell is interesting to me.
Oh, man. Because, I don't know. I was looking at him and just I thought originally before we did this, I was like, okay, surely like the first round, 2 rounds is going to be easy to go through. And now looking at it, I'm like, there's like 5 matches right here where I don't know what I'm doing. You know, like, I don't know.
It was like 50-50 on the Twitter polls for some of these, like Simmons, Mitchell Port, Brester.
Yeah. So we got.
Oh, gosh, this is going to be fun.
We got over 50 votes on the Twitter poll, which is awesome considering I put this Twitter poll up last night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So that's a lot of votes overnight. But by the time this thing goes out, it'll be a lot more. So that'll be cool. But we'll definitely consult that. I think we got 3 votes ourselves, so we'll be able to decide it. But we'll look at it and see what they got. Cool. You guys want to go ahead and start off? Or start one at the first match?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. So we're just gonna start from the top. Top left, Sam Hazewinkel versus Joe LeBlanc. Hazewinkel was top 3 all 4 years. He went 3-3-3-2.
He went. Sorry, pulling it up right now. 3-3-3-2, and he was seeded first twice and seeded second once.
Yep. And then Joe LeBlanc was 5-4-6-7. So I mean, like just right off the rip, like it's this one's I think one of the easier ones to talk about. It's definitely gonna be Sam Hazewinkel for me.
Yeah.
And you guys too.
Yeah. I mean, he had a stellar college career even after he's making world teams. What was he making Greco team when he was an old man out here? But he's had a really good body of work and always just been one of those top guys. So yeah, I think that one's a little more straightforward than some of the other ones.
Yeah,
he was one of those guys that you wanted to win too. I felt like I was like in the crowd, always rooting for this guy because he was like just like one of those good guys that you can root for. I don't know. It's easy to root for the good guy.
Who did he beat to make the world team? You guys remember that when he made the freestyle one?
I don't. Do we know what year that was?
That surprised me when he made it because he took out some solid dudes.
I'm not sure. But I think, one of the things that also, was good to say about him, not only was he top 3 all 4 years, but I was looking back at all of his brackets and he made the semifinals all 4 years and lost to the eventual NCAA champ, either in the semifinals or in the finals, obviously. So every single year in the NCAA tournament, he lost to the NCAA champ on the championship side. And it was, I think, by 1 or 2 points every single time. I think there might have been a couple overtime matches in there too. So it was like, dude was always right there.
So Sam Hazewinkel beat Nick Simmons to make the 2012.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was looking that up. I was almost sure it was that because that was after Nick Simmons had beat Cejudo, right?
Mm-hmm. So I've been looking at it, and Sam Hazewinkel beats Nick Simmons for third in 2005 when Joe Dubuque won it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he beats him again for third the next year. Yep, he does. He beat him again for third. In 2006, Joe Dubuque also won that one. And they were the 1 and 2 seed both years. They just flipped it.
Dude, that's got to be frustrating. Like to lose to the same dude at the same place 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I remember. Do you guys have any stories like that? Like that's just got to be frustrating. No. I don't know. Like I remember when I was coaching, when I first got started coaching in high school, the first couple of years, there was this kid from my rival high school growing up that I always pulled for. Cause like when I was in high school, he was like coming up through youth. And so he ran like youth tournaments and this kid would always just beat the hell out of everybody. And it was fun to watch. But he got second 3 years in a row and then finally won it as a senior. But 2 of those years he lost the same dude in the finals. Like it was just, that was awful to watch, I don't know. I'm getting off topic, but anyways, so yeah, I think we all got Sam Hazewinkel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and put that in here and we can move on to the next one. So Jack, do you want to start us off on that next match?
Okay, this is like my highlight match. I'm like freaking pumped about this one. So we got Mike Poeta. He's 3-time All-American, 2-time finalist. The one time he didn't make the finals, he was he got third. He lost to Jordan Lean in the finals, and he lost to Jordan Burroughs in the finals. So, I mean, Jordan Lean's run in whatever year that was, I think it was 2008, was one of the best runs like in this decade or in this century, I guess. He was the 8th seed, and he just ran the table. So when Poeta got 3rd, he lost to the eventual national champ Trent Paulson in the semis 4-0. He beat CP Schlater in that year. Like, he's beaten a ton of good guys. Mike Poeta is a guy that was a killer. And he was one of those guys that was always like, yeah, he should win. Like, he should definitely win. Even out of high school, he was the number 1 recruit in the country, that sort of thing. So he's always been this guy that has a lot of like luster behind him, I guess. And then John Trenge, on the other hand, is another 3-time All-American, 2-time finalist, and he was seeded first in 2 of those years. One of the years he got second, he lost to Kale. And then let's find out who else he lost to real quick.
Well, one thing to remember about John Trenge is he made the eye protection in wrestling famous, or not famous, because it didn't happen a lot, but like he was the first one to wear eye protection.
The goggles. So there's a movie about it, actually. It's called Veritas. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No.
It's pretty good, actually, as far as.
Wait, what is it about?
It's just like about his, like, he almost went blind wrestling. So that's why he wore the goggles. He got poked in the eye so bad and almost went blind. And so he like made these goggles out of, like, I want to say it was like a dog collar and like swimming goggles. And he made it work. And
goggles out here.
Yeah, he lost in the finals to Damian Hahn and Cale Sanderson. So
okay.
I mean,
it's a tough ride for sure. I'm trying to
Hahn was what, a 2-timer?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hahn was a 2-timer. Cale was a 4-timer. Poeta lost to JB that won 2. And then who did how many did Lean win?
Lean won 1. Lean won 1.
But still, like, I mean,
and he lost to Trent Paulson the other year, so.
Yeah. And I mean, losing to Jordan Burroughs, who's possibly the greatest US wrestler of all time, up there with John Smith and Cale and all those guys. Man, this one's a tough one. And I thought it was crazy that Twitter was very one-sided. So Twitter went 73% for Poeta. What years did Trenge wrestle?
So he went
early 2000s,
2003, and then 2005 were the years he all made.
Yeah, I think just more people were probably familiar with Poeta.
Yeah, definitely recency bias, because I expected this one to be pretty even, but definitely recency bias there. And like you're saying, Trenge had to end his season with a laser eye surgery from a completely detached retina. And so, yeah, that's crazy. I just remember seeing that picture of him, and he's like this giant muscular man that's like standing here like this, and he's got like goggles on. It's like seeing like Amari Stoudemire, like this giant dude, just like these little itty bitty glasses. But no, I don't know where to go with this one, man, because I think my initial thought was Poeta. But man, like, how do you pick against the dude? Like, John Trenge lost to Cale and Damian Hahn.
I'm going to start us off here. I'm taking Trenge.
Wow.
I'm taking Trenge, man. Cale, Damian Hahn. I mean, straight up losing to Cale, bro, basically you remove Cale, you're a national. I mean, you can say that about everybody, but Cale's the greatest college wrestler. Losing to him in the finals, and then just what he did on top of that with the whole eye situation, the issues with that, man. I'm giving a little outside love for that, so I'm taking Trenge.
Yeah, it's like, man, it's hard to pick because they have the exact same stats, right? They both didn't place one year, and then both got a 3rd and 2 seconds. Both lost to just legends in the finals. What were you saying, Jack? Who you got?
I got Poeta, and this is the one reason why I got Poeta is because he lost. The year that he got 3rd, he lost to the guy who got 2nd.
I'm just gonna Trenge.
Yeah, he lost to Sean Stender who lost to Jake Rochelle in the finals.
All right,
Dude.
fair enough.
I'm
Don't
just
leave
gonna
me in
leave
this
it at that.
position.
Move on.
Don't leave me in this position. God, I mean, it just depends on like how much do we want to take into account their competition's senior levels.
Either of you guys know anything they did freestyle?
John Trenge didn't wrestle freestyle.
Okay. I think we kind of got to wipe it if one guy didn't.
I don't know if Mike Poeta did.
My thing is like, if you look at strictly college and like the guys that they wrestled in college, I think it leans more Trenge, right? Because you lose to, I mean, a loss in the finals to Cael Sanderson is almost an NCAA title in itself because, you know, like you lost to the greatest to ever do it. So outside of that guy, you were the greatest in that weight class that year too. I mean, you know, he was there obviously, but you kind of get what I'm saying. And then, I mean, yeah, it's Trenge if you're looking at just college, but if you take into account senior level success and especially their competitions, because I mean, Poeta lost to JB in the finals, and that's as good of a loss as Cael Sanderson is.
Yeah, I mean,
if not better.
So the reason, I mean, I think Cael's a little bit, not that losses are never ever good losses, but Cael's literally was unstoppable in college versus JB was a freaking monster, and I think he shot on way more on the freestyle scene, but he was beatable in college for sure.
Man, I just think this is a crazy round one matchup where both of these dudes could be in like the semis.
Yeah. And then the next round they have Hazewinkel.
Oh man, I can't. All right, so
anywhere else in the bracket they'd be in the final four, I think. So good.
Did you find anything about Poeta's senior level?
Never made a team. Represented like the USA.
You said he never made a team?
Never made a team.
I mean, with both of their senior levels being like kind of, you know, nothing, I think I'm going to have to pick Trenge, man.
Oh, no.
I got to. I'm sorry. You lose
out in the first round.
You lost to the GOAT and the eye thing. I think the eye thing, it has to come into effect here.
Yeah, exactly. You wrestle with goggles on.
I mean, the dude couldn't see, and he got second twice, and he got second twice after the eye thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to pick Trenge. I'm not happy about it. I wouldn't have been happy the other way though, too.
One more thing, I'll make an argument for Poeta. Just one last little like. Poeta got his third before he got his 2 seconds.
Okay.
Trenge got his 2 seconds and then he got third. But like, then again, sometimes a third's better than a second, if you think about it. So I don't know.
Yeah, depending on who you lost to in the semis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go Trenge, man, and I hate it. I would have hated it either way.
Yeah, that was a tough one for sure.
That one sucks.
This one's gonna be super tough too.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah,
it doesn't get much easier.
The next really hard.
Next one, number 9, Brandon Sorenson. Number 24, Nick Simmons. These seeds are just crazy, dude. And I mean, I love how Jack did it. And those that are listening, Jack he came up with this whole list and also seeded it. So I love how you did it because it not only was it objective for us, where it was like we didn't put any like thought into it or, you know, like our subjective whatever into it. It was objective, and not only was it objective, but we look at these seeds and we're like, how the heck is Nick Simmons a 24 seed? You know, like it's cool. I mean, I posted this thing on Twitter and maybe Facebook, and I know I got comments that were like, how the heck is this dude a 27 seed or this guy a 28 seed? People were like mad about it.
They were. Yeah. People were really getting upset about it. I had someone on Instagram, I posted it on my story. Someone was like, where's Daniel Dennis? And I was like, well, he didn't qualify. He was only a 2-time All-American. He was like, well, he was 10 seconds away from being a national champ. And I was like, well, if he won, then he wouldn't be in the bracket anyway. Like,
yeah.
What do you want me to say?
So that's where, like, too, I don't know if I don't remember if I was just texting Jack or if I text the group message, but for Seth this morning. We didn't have Lewnes in here, and somebody on Twitter was like, "Where's Lewnes?" And I was like, "Oh crap! Like, that's a good point. You know, that's definitely a dude that was one of the better to never win it." And then when I talked to Jack about it, like Jack went by, you know, 4-time All-Americans, multiple-time finalists. Like that's the obvious right criteria to go by. Lewnes just happened to be one of those guys that kind of like fell through the criteria, but was definitely a dude that should be in here.
Yeah.
So it was cool. Cool that we got him in, but that's going to be a good match to end on, because that one's going to be fun too.
See that in the future for sure.
Yeah. But Sorenson, Simmons, man, they were both 4-time AAs, right? Or was
I would assume so, for Sorenson for sure.
Sorenson for sure. Yep, they both were. Nick Simmons went 7-4-4-3, and Sorenson went 4-2-3-5. Man, I mean, this one's a crazy one too, because I think at first glance, like looking at stats wise, at first glance, I think it's Sorenson, but it's definitely not an easy pick, and it's like it's definitely something that takes a lot more thought. So, what are you guys thinking?
I'll go. I've got Simmons, and I've got Simmons because that like mid 2000s range of the 125 weight class was absurd. So 2006 when he got fourth, Joe Dubuque got first, Troy Nickerson got second, Sam Hazewinkel got third, Nick Simmons got fourth, Coleman Scott got fifth, Chad Mendez got sixth. So I mean, that's absurd. Just the weight classes that he was in, like, was unreal. And he was seeded first twice at these tournaments. So he was in a big schedule, beating these guys, and then just like didn't get it done in NCAAs.
What was his freestyle career after?
He was he ended Cejudo's career. I don't know. He probably made some team. El Strangler.
Yeah, I remember the picture of him spladling someone is always out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. I just typed in Nick Simmons freestyle, and that's the first picture that pops up.
2011 World Team member.
He was a World Team member?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this one's is difficult, because I think if you look at, like you're saying, you know, maybe some of the guys that were right there for Simmons were harder to beat, but at the same time, let's look at who Sorenson lost to in the finals, right? Sorenson lost to one of the greatest to ever do it in the finals. He lost to Zane. And I believe he lost to Zane in a semifinal one of the other years. And, you know,
yeah, he did.
Like we're saying,
first period.
Yeah. I mean, there's not many people that didn't get pinned by Zane. So, but man, I don't know. Like, another thing that kind of plays into it for me is when you're talking about senior levels. Obviously, we talked about, you know, Nick Simmons made a world team. While I don't think that Sorenson would make a team, he didn't even have the chance, right? So after college, you know, he kind of hit a lot of adversity, and is battling cancer. So, you know, that can't be taken into the effect as far as wrestling goes, but it can be taken into effect as far as like, I don't even know if he was going freestyle, but if he went freestyle, then like, what would we be looking at with him there?
Yeah. I think my issue with it though, is that he was never close to beating Zane. And
he was that time in Carver, bro.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, but leave Carver out of the equation. I've never wrestled there, but I'm sure it's hell. Like 10-1 in the NCAA finals, and then he got pinned in 2.5 minutes in the NCAA semis. I think that if we go back to the John Trenge Kale thing or Poeta Burroughs, like those matches were tight. Like they were in there. Sorenson wasn't really in the match in the finals.
Who else was in his bracket the year he got second?
Le'Veon Mays, Anthony Colica, Mike DePalma, Panaleo, Justin Oliver, Gio Martinez.
Some good dudes.
They're good, but I don't think they're anywhere near that 2006 25 weight.
Yeah, and this is where like seeds are kind of crazy because, I think as far as statistics wise, in statistics in a college career, you're leaning Sorenson. But when we take a step back and look at it, I don't know, man. I mean, I get what you're saying, where he kind of got, beat up in the finals and pinned in other places, like, but I just don't know, man. It's hard. Seth, do you have a thought?
You make your call first this time.
You want my call first?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so
Don't do it. Don't do it.
yeah, I'm doing it. Sorenson, baby. I'm going Sorenson. All right. So for me, I don't personally remember Simmons because I wasn't into watching it then. Just doing the research, I can't myself grasp, all of his career, whereas, you guys watched him, can probably do it better than me. But while Sorenson wasn't particularly super close to winning it, he did make a final, and he does have better college statistics, right? And so I'll go with Sorenson. I'll let Seth make the hard decision here.
You got beat by Ronnie Perry.
What?
You got beat by Ronnie Perry.
Ronnie Perry. Ronnie Perry's the NCAA finalist, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, I was leaning Sorenson right away. Looking at the stats, but Jack did have a persuasive argument here, and I'm gonna go with Simmons for this one.
Oh, yeah.
It was tough, but those names in that bracket he told us about, and the dudes that Simmons, beat, he always had those brackets in that time for 125 were just hammers, and
man,
he had some. I mean, not that obviously Sorenson hasn't had quite the shot yet, but he's been on world teams. I gotta go with Nick Simmons, man. Seeing him lose first round, I don't know.
Yeah,
out here.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right pick. I think for me personally, it's hard to pick somebody when you don't have a whole lot of actual experience watching them, especially when it's close. When it's close, I got to favor the dude that I watched. But I think that probably is the right pick in the end. So it's 24 seed upsets the 9 seed in the first round. Awesome. We're going to have plenty more of those. So let's keep going. The next one, we have Jake. Is it Percival? Jake Percival versus Thomas Gilman. Percival is the 8 seed and Gilman is the 25. Man, I mean, that's I think this is another one that has potential upset territory for sure. I'll say a little bit about Thomas Gilman, and then I'll let one of you guys talk about you said Percival, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gilman was a 3-time AA. The only reason that he did not get 4 was because his freshman year, him and Corey Clark were in the same place or the same weight class, and Clark won the wrestle off. Gilman won, or he got what I don't remember what he got as a sophomore, but he ended his career getting 2nd and 3rd. So I think it might have been 4-2-3. Or 3-2-3, somewhere in there. But I remember, he didn't – his freshman year, he obviously didn't make the lineup because of Clark. His sophomore year, he made the semifinals, and that was the year that Zeke Moisey cradled him up, and that was one of the loudest moments in NCAA history, if you ask me.
That was wild.
But, let's remember that. I think that's the thing about Gilman that kind of gets forgotten a little bit, is that his sophomore year – he got pinned in the semifinals, but definitely out of those last 4, if we were to wrestle those matches multiple times, I'm confident in saying that Gilman wins that tournament multiple times. I don't know. Maybe you guys think I'm crazy, but that was what Tomasello, Waters, Gilman, and Moisey. I think that Gilman could win that Final 4 multiple times if we wrestled it.
I think a lot of guys could, but who shows up and actually gets it done is the big part about it.
This is true. Very true. But also, so Gilman, that's what happened his sophomore year. Junior year makes the final, loses to Nico. And then senior year was the clear-cut favorite the entire year. Everybody just knew. It was one of those Miles Martin situations to compare it to recent years where it was Gilman was going to win. And then, he just kind of slipped up a little bit in overtime in the semifinals and lost to Darian Cruz. So that's Gilman. Jack, you want to tell me about Percival?
Yeah, so Ohio Bobcat, Jake Percival went 4th, 5th, 2nd, and 3rd. First 2 years being at 149, next 2 years being at 157. He lost to Matt Gentry from Stanford in the finals. When he got 3rd, he stuck Trent Paulson for 3rd. When he got 4th, he got by Jesse Jansen. Just had a lot of tough, crazy brackets. Those early mid-2000s 157 was loaded with Ryan Bertine, Matt Gentry, Jake Percival, Joe Johnson. All these guys were studs, and Percival was right in the mix with all of them. I think he's a guy that gets forgotten because of his school, because he's from Ohio. Not a school that we think of when we think of wrestling. So it's cool to see a school like this get represented in this bracket. Yeah, that's Jake Percival, one-time finalist, 4-time All-American.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go first because it's the easiest pick on this bracket for me. It's Thomas Gilman for me, easy and easy for me. I don't think it's hard. I mean, when I think of the best to never win it, before we did this bracket, right? There's obviously a bunch of dudes in here that are swaying my opinions different ways. But before we did this bracket, if you would have asked me just within my years of watching, I would have said Gilman. And that's just
definitely a recency thing, right?
It's probably absolutely. Right. So I've been a hardcore like college fan since about 2010. Right. So a lot of these guys are kind of before that. And even some of them in that year span, we can argue for sure. But like for me personally, it's him. And it's because mostly of his senior year and how it was going. It's like a Miles Martin, right? Miles Martin won a title, so obviously he's not in here, but like everybody knew Miles was going to win his senior year. And then, that's why we wrestle the matches. Other stuff happens. But it's Gilman for me here, man. I mean, he should have been in the finals as a sophomore, if not getting pinned by just a red hot Zeke Boise. Was in the finals as a junior. Well, you know what?
Who did he lose to after that?
I don't know.
That year?
He got 4th, I believe. So he definitely lost in that 3rd place match. But
that was in the Garden, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he got 4th. So I don't know. No. That wasn't in the Garden. That was in St. Louis. I'm pretty sure.
Which is the best place to wrestle NCAAs, in my opinion.
You think so?
St. Louis?
Yeah.
Yeah, St. Louis is sweet. I hated New York.
Okay, so that's we're gonna get off track for a second, but I got to ask about that. You guys wrestled in the tournaments, obviously. So, you guys, I guess, wrestled in all the same tournaments, right?
No,
I was medical redshirt 1 year.
Okay, what were you guys' favorite and worst place?
I hated New York.
Why?
I did not like it.
Why?
It was stuffed up in there. They had us warming up in a little theater place, and it was weird. And that was my first time out in New York for more than swinging by there. So it was like, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't love it for sure. It's not like I've been back out to New York to train and stuff, and it's much better once you're there for a few days. But straight up, just looking at the venue, it was super. I don't know, not a lot of space for the athletes, I felt like.
Was that the year – was that the first year you made the finals?
Nope. That's the round of 12 year when I was at 141.
Yeah, I would say the year that I was round of 12. I hate that one the most. I hate Cleveland. I hated Cleveland.
That's my favorite,
dude. I loved Cleveland. Loved it.
I'm pretty close with DiCamillo, and he's from Cleveland. And I'm like, how do you live here? Like,
my sister actually lives in Cleveland, so I go out to Cleveland all the time.
You still get this is my city pretty much.
Dude, I love going. That's why I love going and visit her. We'll just drive on through, man, and I'm just like, oh, this place is tight. But I like Cleveland. I mean, as far as venue goes, it was walking distance from the hotels, and it was I don't know. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, ours was-
winning.
we had to drive across town.
What's that?
There were 2 different hotels, and I guess we had to drive.
For real?
Yeah, so it was terrible. Pittsburgh, we were walking.
Yeah, how was Pittsburgh? Obviously, that's the one I was out for.
I really liked Pittsburgh. The venue was sweet. I also did pretty well there. I mean, it's really just how well you do, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when I beat Dance in the quarters too at St. Louis, like that was the best I've ever felt after a wrestling match. Because like people were, like pumped.
Yeah.
I don't know why you hear people like maybe the FRL guys, but like several people, whenever you talk about St. Louis, they're like, "Oh, it's back in St. Louis this year." I'm like, dude, let's just have it in St. Louis every year. Like St. Louis is awesome.
Good job, man.
Omaha for baseball.
Yeah, dude.
It's right in the middle, easy to get to, and the whole city shuts down for wrestling. I think that's the coolest part. Everyone knows.
I mean, that's the first ever NCAA tournament I went to as a kid was in St. Louis, so I love it.
I loved
keep it in the rope.
Like you're talking about, I loved Cleveland, man. Cleveland was one of my favorite years that I went. And I've been like 8 or 9 years now, but like I love Cleveland. It was so much fun. That was actually the coolest hotel I stayed in. So whenever we go, I go with my dad and my dad's best friend. And they usually like split it. And so, you know, one of them will buy tickets and one of them will buy the hotel. And that way, you know, instead of getting kind of, you know, average things, like we'll get really good seats and a nice hotel. Cause they'll kind of both like go all in on one thing. And so we stayed at the Ritz that year, and the Ritz is awesome. But like my favorite part of it was one night. So we're out, you know, we're at a bar until like 2 a.m. or something. And I checked out. I was like, all right, guys, I'm done. I got to go home. Like I'm going to feel awful tomorrow. And so I went back and went to sleep. And I remember waking up at like 7 a.m. and my dad stumbling in the room. And I was like, I'm sitting here, like I was too tired to wake up and talk to him, but I'm sitting here in my mind thinking like, my dad like meet a lady friend or something? Like what's going on? Like what's the deal? Why is he coming back so late? And I woke up later and talked to him. And apparently what happened was he had made it back to the hotel and then sat at the bar in the hotel lobby and drank. And he fell asleep on the couch in the lobby. And so just like passed out in the lobby on the couch. And he said he woke up because some maid was like poking him and like, you must leave. She thought he was some like homeless guy that had just shacked up on the couch. So it was hilarious. But yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of cool places, man. I don't know. It's been a lot of fun. They picked some good venues. I'm excited to go to Detroit, honestly, because I don't know, like every time that I've thought like, I don't know how this city's going to be, it's always turned out to be cool. So I don't know, but it is what it is. Let's talk about wrestling.
Back to the matchup. I'm going to put the pressure on Jack. I'm going to go Percival, and now Jack's got to make the decision here.
So my issue is that Gilman got beat by Zeke Moisey, and I really wasn't in Zeke's bracket until like later in his career, and he kind of was like downhill. And obviously this run was amazing, but I think that loss really hurts him. He might be one of the greatest regular season wrestlers ever, for sure. But his postseason, like, I mean, he just kind of chose. I don't know how else to put it.
But think about the Moisey, how you said, yeah, that's definitely not the greatest loss when you look back at the whole career. But I would definitely argue that Moisey in that tournament was like, until the finals, was kind of like Cody Brewer was that one year. Just for that finals, right? Not talking about the season, not talking about the whole career, but just up until that finals for that tournament, dude was on fire.
My issue is that Percival has better losses. Is there a better loss though? Like,
what?
Who's Thomas Gilman's best win in college?
I mean, look at the resume of people he's beaten, man. I mean, he stuck NATO in the semifinals. Let's look.
He stuck NATO. He beat him in overtime. Let's just make that clear. Because it was an overtime match. It's not like we just went out and pinned him.
Okay, well, either way, all three of the national tournaments that Gilman wrestled in, he lost to Zeke Moisey. Obviously, Moisey didn't win it, but I'm going to, again, argue that that's one of the hottest NCAA tournaments in the last decade. And then, he lost to Nico in the finals, and he lost to Darian Cruz the senior year, who Cruz ended up winning.
Who did he lose to, though, do we figure out who he lost to in the third place match?
It was Alan Waters.
Yeah, that's right.
Like 8-4 or something.
Yeah,
okay.
8-4. So he beat. Hold on. He's beat.
I'm ready to make my decision.
Right. No, I don't care about your decision. Hold on. He beat Nashon. He beat Nashon, right? He's beaten Waters. He beat Joey Dance.
Nashon.
Huh?
Well, is this regular season or postseason?
He beat Nashon in the postseason. He beat him at the NCAA championships. He pinned him at the NCAA championships as a sophomore.
Was that the year that? What year was that?
That's the year he lost to Moisey. He pinned Nashon.
Nashon had it. I mean, that's the last year I think Nashon was at 125, and you said the league.
Well, he had another win over Nashon earlier that year in the duel, 3-1.
Well, I think it was just the weight that was messing with Nashon at 25.
Yeah.
He has multiple.
Next year, he was almost unstoppable.
That's a win that's like
multiple wins over Tomasello, multiple wins over Lezak. He lost to Nico, but did he ever beat Nico? Maybe. I think they only wrestled twice. I think he lost both by like 1 or 2 points.
Okay. I'm ready to make my decision. The 04 157-pound weight class. I'm going to read it off. Gentry 1, Percival 2nd, Bertine 3rd, Alex Terapelli 4th, Johnny Hendricks 5th, Travis Paulson 6th, Philip Simpson 8th. That's loaded. Philip Simpson was a finalist. I got Jake Percival. I've got Jake Percival because
you are breaking my heart, dude.
Yeah, this dude's gonna be crying the rest of the time.
Oh my God, breaking my heart.
Yeah.
You thought Gilman was about to win the whole bracket, huh?
I didn't think he'd win the whole bracket, but I was like, I had him in my mind penciled in until at least Hazewinkel.
I think that if I chose Gilman, I would have chosen Gilman over Simmons. But I don't think I'll choose Percival over Simmons.
I think Gilman, I mean, like Jack said, I think the hard thing about him is he just never, I don't know, he always had a slip up at the NCAAs. Like his regular seasons were unreal, and then it was like
he underperformed at NCAAs.
I feel like that's an Iowa thing, man. Like look at Marinelli, like same deal, like just unstoppable, and then he gets to the tournament and it just, I don't know.
I got a lot of hate for that pick. They were like, "Wow, that's a reach." I was like, "What?" Leave me alone. I got like 4 or 5 people just like harassing me about the Marinelli pick.
Okay. You should get no crap for that because like
it's a solid pick.
It's a solid pick. I mean, we both picked Mackay, but like I can agree with Mackay. Like, who knows? The dude could come back and not place 3 years in a row, and I wouldn't be like blown away. I mean, I think obviously he could win 4, right? The dude's awesome and has so much talent, but there's a very big level of not knowing right now with him. I don't know
how good he's gonna be. He lost to Massa in freestyle, and Massa's in that weight class unless he bumps up.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways.
All right. Well, you broke my heart, and I'm like,
This one's close.
I want to quit. Okay, Tyler Caldwell, Isaac Jordan. You say this one's close?
I do think this one's close because
explain yourself.
Isaac Jordan's a 4-time All-American and a finalist, and I mean,
look who he lost to.
Freaking loaded weights. I think that if we're going off how we've been going and who Tyler Caldwell's lost to, it's gonna be Caldwell. But I still think Isaac Jordan is legit, and I think 29 seed, he would beat a lot of these guys.
Absolutely.
Was Caldwell a 4-time All-American?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both 4-time. So Tyler Caldwell is one of the few that are 4-time AA, 2-time finalists. So I think it's just him and Brian Snyder, I want to say.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously we know that Caldwell started his career at OU and then transferred to Oklahoma State. He made a final for both teams, and he lost to – I know he lost to David Taylor his senior year, but at OU, didn't he lose to Burroughs?
Yeah.
I think it was Burroughs.
It was really close in the Big 12 finals.
Yeah, and so
I agree. I think that Isaac Jordan would beat a lot of the other dudes ahead of him, but Caldwell's resume and who he lost to is really hard to – I'm going Caldwell, but Jordan had a heck of a career, and he's got to be up there. But
yeah, he's legit. I think Caldwell's, especially who's in his quarter, I think it's going to be a pretty good run for him.
Yeah, I got Caldwell as well. It's one of those that, like you guys are saying, I could put Isaac Jordan in several other places in this bracket and pick him to win his first round matchup. But he's against a guy right now that, in my mind, I think Caldwell is one of the favorites to win this bracket. So, he can't win this one. Sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you guys look at the bracket, do you think I'm crazy for saying Caldwell's one of the favorites to win it?
I think he's got – you can't get much a better resume than a 4-time AA, two-time finalist without being in the conversation.
So
yeah.
I did think like that, but I talked to Trent. So I've been working at Trent's house, like doing manual labor and stuff this summer. And I was like, so we're doing this segment on best to never win it. Do you have any ideas on, like, guess who's first seed, guess who's second seed sort of thing? And he's going, better not be that mother effer Tyler Caldwell. I was like, no. At first I thought he was going to be the 1 seed. And I was like, no. And I was like, but why do you not think he's very good? And he was like, well, he put up some good points. I can't remember exactly. I'm going to bring it up next segment, I guess, and talk to him more about it. But I think it'd be interesting to bring someone like him on.
Yeah.
With these guys, because, we don't really have that perspective. But
for sure.
He was saying, like Caldwell, although he lost to David Taylor and Jordan Burroughs, was like, he never beat these guys. Like, who's Caldwell's best win necessarily, not just his best loss.
Yeah.
Which is something I think that should be in play for sure.
Should definitely. I don't know. It's hard to argue though with. The losses that he had and how close they were. It'd be one thing if he was getting beat up by Burroughs and Taylor, but how close they were too that's hard to throw out. But we all got Caldwell. Move on. 13 Adam Coon versus 20 Nick Amuchastegui. I think this one's definitely a one that's hard to talk about. They're both 2-time finalists. I don't know. Like, where are we starting with this one? Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give the rundown on Amuchastegui. So, 4th, 2nd, but his seeds were unseeded 7th and 3rd. Got beat by Ruth in the finals once. I don't know if it was twice. It might have been a different guy. I'm gonna check real quick, but he was a guy that was just had an exponential jump at NCAA's his, I guess, sophomore year. Someone that went from a no seed to a 4th. That's really good wins for sure. And then second. So very legit, very tough competitor. Always turned it on at NCAA's.
I think it's cool. You're also like, I think this is another guy kind of talking about like Percival was, where it's cool to see a Stanford guy in here. It's obvious that we're going to.
Was the other guy that he lost to.
John Reeder?
Yes. He beat – okay, this is actually going to shock y'all, I think. No, never mind. I don't know if he won by default or if he won by fall against Ed Ruth in the quarters. It says WDF, but it doesn't say fall.
At least it's not WTF.
Yeah, that would be weird.
That'd be weird.
So I guess, yeah, he had to go through Ed Ruth to make the finals and Lewnes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Nick Heflin, Ed Ruth, Lewnes, and then John Reeder in the finals. That's a tough ride. Holy smokes. Colby
That's-
Trump.
Reader beat up on him in the finals, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, it was 10-3. It wasn't close.
Okay, so I'll say real quick that I've in my basement I have a wrestling mat and I've been working out down here a lot. You guys talking about Reader and I was thinking about Garland also. So both of you guys as coaches, even Bono. So I've listened to the Wrestling Changed My Life podcast. If you guys haven't heard it, I'd definitely go check it out. But all of your coaches have been on there, and I got in the habit of listening to it while I'm working out. Dude, these guys. I was listening to John Reader the other day while I'm working out, and I'm doing burpees, and I'm like so jacked. I'm about punching the ceiling every time I do a burpee. Like I was like, this guy has just got me wanting to just blow through this ceiling.
He's like that all the time too. He's just fiery, dude. That
Yeah.
dude's he's a wild man, dude. The workouts he's still doing, like he'll get up and like bike 60 miles and run half a marathon.
Yeah. But he's like,
he's just freaking out here.
I love listening to these things, man, because he's talking about like, oh, every morning I get up at like 4:30 or 5 and I go on my 5-mile run. And I'm sitting here like, I could do that. I can do that. Let's do it.
Yeah, it tastes crazy, man. That dude, like, so we would have our like 5:45 a.m. workouts, and this dude will be like over that 4:45, getting his workout in before our workout, and like, he's a wild man. He's awesome, you know. Being around somebody like that is awesome.
Yeah. But all right, so we heard Amuchastegui. Now Adam Coon, I think, you know, this is definitely a recency thing. A lot of people know Adam Coon. He was a 2-time finalist. He got second, third, second. I don't know what happened as a freshman. I don't know if he wrestled or got beat out of the lineup or
round of 12.
Okay, so round of 12. All right, so round of 12, 3-2-3. He lost in both the finals matches. I think it's really important. You know, we're talking about the guys that Amuchastegui, you know, beat or lost to or was in the same bracket. The same goes with Coon. He had some pretty stout competition, right? His finals matches, he lost to Gwizdowski, and then he lost to Kyle Snyder, right? So the two dudes he lost to in the finals have a combined 5 titles, and are two of the best heavyweights in the recent, you know, however many years you want to talk about. So he's super close to being a multiple-time national champ. I mean, and even in his junior year when he got third, he lost in the semis to Kyle Snyder, I believe. So
I'm going to jump in here right away and say that I got Adam Coon. He, straight up for the fact, this dude beat Kyle Snyder. He was a finalist twice. It's hard to get a better resume than that. So I got Coon.
I'm going to say something about Amuchastegui. I just watched him wrestle Ed Ruth because I wanted to see what happened. He was winning 9-2 at the end of the second period with a bent leg Turk, and Ruth just called the match. So, I mean, he's kicking the crud out of him. And then Ruth ended up getting whatever that year. But I think I'm going to go Adam Coon. But, I mean, you're right. Kyle Snyder win is who does
yeah,
that?
I think it's important to say though for that Amuchastegui, you know, that he was beating up on Ruth, but we just had David Taylor on the podcast for the finals a show ago, and he was talking about Ruth a little bit, and he said, you know, kind of at times there was like Ruth wasn't fully into it. You know, he was one of those guys that like when he was into it and going, he like killed everybody. But I think he said I don't want to misquote him, but I'm pretty sure he said something about his freshman year, just kind of like, you know, being half in, half out, not really like all committed. So that's definitely a different Ed Ruth than we're used to. I think, man, before this, I was easily Coon, and you bringing up those names that are in the bracket, man, I think this is so close. I'm going to go Coon. I mean, obviously it's Coon anyways, but I'm super close to going to Amuchastegui there. But yeah, Coon, 3-0.
Okay, the next year, I've still got Coon because I think that he's a stud, but I want to just say some more about Amuchastegui. He ended up beating Chris Perry in the semifinals the next year.
That's solid.
All right, you know what?
Solid resume.
It is. I think he's another dude that, you know, would knock off a lot of other guys, but Coon beating a freaking Olympic champ, man.
man.
I'm still bitter about the Poeta thing, man.
You're bitter about Poeta. I'm bitter about Gilman. All right. Look at this. On the Twitter poll, Thomas Gilman, 91% of the
Don't get me
votes.
started about Iowa Twitter, man.
Yeah, come on.
Dude,
Hey, okay. I can't even tag Iowa in this. They won't let me tag them. So I don't know.
How was your decade duels Twitter polls with the Iowa Penn State?
Iowa Penn State. Oh, I didn't put one up for Iowa Penn State. I was very, very consistent and forgot the finals. My life's crazy right now, man.
All of those matches because Iowa freaking Twitter is prevalent.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Strong.
I'll give you that, but whatever. All right, so yeah, Twitter had Coon 87%. Definitely a recency bias for sure, but we all got Coon. All right, next one. Number 12, Eric Tannenbaum. Number 21, Robert Hamlin. Jack, you might have to fill us in on both of these dudes.
Okay, so I actually have a cool story about Eric Tannenbaum. So Michigan was in my top 3, was very interested. And I was like, Eric Tannenbaum, like he went from 141 to 165 in a year. Didn't even take a red shirt. I was like, how the heck did this guy grow that much? Because like I'm 120 sopping wet at this point and like want to get big. And he was like, they were like, well, he was a vegetarian and he started eating meat. And I was like, are you serious? I should have been a vegetarian my whole life.
Yeah.
So we got 4th, 6th, 4th, and 2nd for Tannenbaum, and he definitely got a lot better near the end of his career. Lost to Mark Perry in the finals. Actually beat Mark Perry at the Big Tens 2 weeks before.
I remember that.
Very good wins, very solid wrestler all around. And then I'm sure he has more wins. He was in that mix with Johnny Hendricks and Mark Perry and those guys, Paulson's. And then we got Robert Hamlin, 2nd, 4th, 2nd, and he was seeded 2nd, 2nd, 3rd.
Did we ever go back and look at it? Because I'm like almost for sure that Hamlin lost to Ruth both times in the finals.
I'm going to look. I found out that Ruth beat.
I'm 95% sure.
Found out that Ruth beat Amuchastegui in one of them.
Yep.
So that's 2012. So 2013, Ruth beats Hamlin 12-4.
Yeah, it had to be 2011 then.
I guess 2014, Hamlin gets 4th. Let me check. No, I guess not 2014.
I think it's 2011.
That he gets 4th?
That he got 2nd, maybe.
No, that was Amuchastegui.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Because Ruth got 3rd that year.
Okay. So, yeah, it had to be that next year then. While he finds that, either way, Hamlin made 2 finals. Man, this is another one of those matchups that I'm looking at and I'm going statistically, how did Hamlin go 21 and Tannenbaum go 12? I mean, it's because Hamlin had a year where he didn't AA for sure. But Hamlin made 2 finals, Tannenbaum made 1, and Tannenbaum seeded 9 seeds above him. That's crazy. I gotta hear who that other finals loss is for Hamlin before I make a decision. Seth, do you have any input on it or any thoughts?
I think this is a really, really close one here versus, the 4-time AA versus the 3-time AA, where the 3-time might have a few, where he lost to really good guys, but I mean, they've both been finalists, so this is a tricky one for me. I'm not super familiar with either guys, but
yeah. And you said that who did Tannenbaum lose to in the finals? You said
Perry.
Lost to Perry, and he beat Perry. Okay. Man. So
Quentin Wright was the other one. So he lost to Quentin Wright in the finals at 84, and that's why I couldn't find it.
Okay.
And then 2012, he got 4th at 84 again, and lost to Austin Trotman for 3rd in overtime. And then he lost to Ruth in the finals 12-4.
Okay, so he lost to Quentin Wright and he lost to Ed Ruth. Again, 5 national titles between the 2 guys he lost to. I I just there's obviously a case for Tannenbaum, but personally, I am. It's hard to get past that level of competition and how well he performed. I'm gonna go Hamlin. What are you guys thinking?
I've got Tannenbaum. I think the Trotman loss hurts Hamlin. I'm gonna pull up Tannenbaum's stats, but I'm gonna leave it to you, Seth.
Ooh.
Trying to find when it was.
I'm gonna go Tannenbaum just because he did have a win over Perry for sure. I mean, that's a big one. I like to look at who's a really good guy they beat is I think a big factor on how good they are, and he could have that finals match he wrestled a couple weeks later against Perry, dude he beat, so it's like he's right there for sure. Was Hamlin ever what was it close with Ed Ruth? I can't remember too much, but I'm going Tannenbaum.
Tannenbaum beat Lewnes in the semis that year that he lost to Perry too in the finals.
Okay.
I think good wins are a bigger factor than who you lost to,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so Tannenbaum moves on. That was definitely a close one. It could have gone both ways, but yeah, I agree. I voted Hamlin, but I can definitely see that. All right, number 5, Brian Snyder versus number 28, James Green. James Green is the 4th or 5th lowest seeded dude in this bracket, and this is a cool one because I think this is where senior level success comes in, right? Because I'll talk about James Green here for a second, and then I'll let one of you guys jump in on Snyder. But James Green, I don't have it pulled up. I can, but I believe he went 7.733. And let me check. Yeah, 7.733. And I can't remember what seeds he was, but I know he was a 1 seed one year when he got pinned by Dylan Ness. And what was definitely another one of those guys in college where he was kind of expected to win a title at maybe multiple times. And, for whatever reason got upset or it didn't happen. Definitely one of the best dudes to never make a final for sure. And then obviously you throw in the senior level success where, he got, I think he got 2nd in the world one year, and I know he got world bronze.
Yeah, 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, so he's been one of the top dudes in the world for several years. And, he's one of the guys on the U.S. team, right now and in the past decade that's one of the best guys on the senior level team to maybe not win a final. So I think that there's a lot of debate here for James Green. But Brian Snyder's also got a resume. So one of you guys want to take that away?
I can do it. 4th, 5th, 2nd for Brian Snyder. Lost to TJ Williams and Luke Becker in the finals, both in tiebreakers.
Wow.
So that's rough. He was his seeds were 5th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And I hear that 2 tiebreaker losses in the finals back-to-back years. That's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had any senior level success, but Brian Snyder's definitely like our oldest guy in the bracket. He's the guy that I had to go back to 99 to get some of his results because he got 5th in 99.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to point out too when you're talking about years. For people listening, if you're listening and you haven't seen it yet, we're doing the years 2000 through 2020. So the last 20 years. Obviously, there's plenty of dudes, previous that never won a title that are great. But just for research purposes, it's kind of hard to go back that far, get accurate data. But I think another thing I saw about Brian Snyder was that I think he's the right now still the winningest Husker in history. I think he has the best winning percentage. It was like 92% or something.
Best winning percentage, 0.925. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
So 93, really, if you round up.
Yeah,
that's crazy. 93% of your matches in your career, right? Not a year. That's insane. Man, But I don't know, man. I don't know where to go. This is another one that's really hard for me because, obviously Snyder's an older guy, so I don't have the firsthand watching him, experience that. Yeah, I don't even know if you guys do.
I don't. I've never seen him wrestle.
So
this is one that's like, are we gonna take NCAA over senior level success, or are we gonna take senior level success over NCAAs? Because if we're taking NCAAs, I feel like it's got to be Snyder. 4-time All-American, 2-time finalist, was literally seconds away from winning it. James,
I think I'm gonna go with Snyder just because James Green didn't even make a final. I mean, obviously he's a beast. He's made world teams, but I don't know. He couldn't put it together at the tournament, and Snyder obviously was right there, losing in tiebreakers like that, and made 2 finals. So I'm going Snyder.
Yeah, me as well. I'm going to go Snyder. I think that it's easy to kind of get swayed by recency bias here and think about how great James Green has been, but especially when we don't, have the personal experience with Snyder. But yeah, 2 finals, lost in tiebreakers. I mean, that's definitely one of the guys that should have won.
I mean,
there.
TJ Williams and Luke Becker are 2 well-known, really good guys from that time era. So
yeah.
Jack, are you following suit with us, or are you?
Yeah, no, that makes my job easy. I'm gonna go Snyder. I think James Green is unreal, and definitely when you think of James Green, it's like, man, how did he not win it?
Yeah,
this guy you were pulling for. I remember being really. There were a few times where I, as a spectator, I've been really upset about people losing at NCAAs, and James Green losing to Dylan Ness was one of them. The other one was in 2006 when Mako lost to Conrad. I was bawling, crying because Mako lost. I was a hardcore Mako fan. And was just bawling, crying. My dad was like, "What is wrong with you? You don't even know this guy. Why do you love him so much?" We're like the only people left because no one stays for heavyweight. Yeah. I'm just like, nah.
So we're on opposite sides for the Green Ness one, because that was one of my favorite memories. And oh man, that was awesome. I was a huge Ness fan back then, and
it's hard to not be a fan of him.
That was just you can't, obviously if you're a big James Green fan, that sucked, right? But if man, you can't just not appreciate that moment. That was insane. I don't know. Maybe you can not appreciate it. I get it.
I wasn't a fan of Minnesota. I don't know why, but I just didn't like Minnesota. I guess when I first started really getting into watching it, they were kind of the powerhouse at that moment, because then they won 3 in a row, and they were always right there. Or not 3 in a row. They won 2 in a row, and that was when I kind of started.
Yeah. So I've always been a big Iowa guy, and it's just because that first year I started watching, the guys that I attach myself to, whatever, say what you want. But I got to pick my own team, and that first year when I watched the guys that I attached myself to and that I wanted to be was McDonough and Metcalf. I loved those 2 guys. They were my favorite wrestlers of all time to start off with, and so that's why I became an Iowa fan. But there was definitely those years with Ness. I mean, we could talk about it later, but those years with Ness, I really did kind of like the Gophers, the guys, the lineup they had. That was a lot of fun, that lineup. But that's half of the bracket down. Let's go ahead and move over to the second half and maybe go a little bit quicker so we don't make this thing too long. We have the habit of talking for 3 hours. But anyways, over to the second half, the number 2 seed, Mike McMullan, versus the number 31 seed, Matt Kolodzik. I'll talk about Kolodzik here for a second. He was a 4-time AA, counting this Corona year, which, again, I count 100%. I think we've talked about that before. But Kolodzik definitely deserves to be in this because, especially after he got third as, I think, a sophomore, we kind of expected, national title contention with him. It was unfortunate that he didn't get a chance, because when I picked my bracket, I believe I think I had him either making the semis or the finals in my bracket this year.
I had him winning.
I think that he definitely had a shot for sure. So I think taking this year into into account as a big deal for this one. But Mike McMullan, you want to tell us a little about him, Jack?
Yeah, so third, second, third. I mean, like I said earlier, sometimes a third's better than a second. He was seeded first a lot.
Yeah.
I believe. Actually, he wasn't. He was seeded 10th, 5th, 6th, 2nd. Wow. So, I mean, he wasn't seeded high and just turned it up at the NCAAs. He was a guy that was in that. He was with Coon and all those guys. Tony Nelson was, I think, his finals loss.
Yeah. Yep, I remember that one.
I think McMullan's actually the reason Gwiazdowski's not a 4-time All-American, if I remember correctly.
Gwiazdowski is a 4-time All-American. He got 8th his freshman year. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe it wasn't the round of 12. Maybe it was the next match. I think he beat him in that next match then. But I remember him beating him in the conso and the backside. Wow, I'm a moron. But it was definitely – I think it was that next match that he beat him.
Yeah. So I'm going to take McMullan. I think this one's kind of easy. Sadly, I think Kolodzik gets this year. Hopefully he's not in this bracket. Hopefully he wins. It's one of the saddest stories, with the coronavirus. Just a guy that got his red shirt pulled in February, only got to wrestle a few matches his senior year. Really nice guy. His sister actually went to UVA, so I know him a little.
Yeah.
I'm on board with McMullan as well. Yeah, I think, obviously Kolodzik a beast, really good wrestler. For me, I just think, I was pretty, looking back at McMullan, it's like, dang, that dude didn't win, and he was that good. But when I look at Kolodzik, I think he had an opportunity to win. He was very good, but it was never a huge, I wasn't super shocked when he didn't win. So I feel like I was more shocked, McMullan didn't get it done one of those years. But I don't know, like I said, both really good guys and body of work. McMullan 3-2, 3-3 is tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going McMullan. You have to go McMullan in this one. I think that it's definitely one that kind of sucks a little bit just because, like you're saying, Kolodzik, I mean, ultimate team guy, right? Pulls his red shirt right at the end of the year and then, kind of gets crapped on with the corona like everybody else. But that was definitely one of the saddest for the coronavirus situation. But, yeah, McMullan moves on. All right, we're going to jump down and go 15 seed Chris Fleeger versus 18 seed Logan Storley. I guess, Jack, I'll let you start off with Chris Fleeger. I got to run to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Chris Fleeger, third, second. He got beat by Travis Lee and Matt Valenti in the finals. Weird guy because he wrestled in 2002, 2003, and then 2006. So a couple gap years. I don't really know much about why he was out for that long or if he didn't place. But definitely a weird span of time.
What was he? Can you say that? What was his results?
Third, second. So, yeah, he got beat by Travis Lee and Matt Valenti in the finals. So, really, really good losses. But just couldn't get it done. When he got third, Stephen Abbas won it in 2002.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Storley, 4-time All-American. Trying to think, he didn't make the finals, did he?
No, I don't think he ever got better than fourth. So 6th, 4th, 3rd, 6th, or 4th.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely right up there, with James Green as one of the better guys that never made a finals for sure.
Yeah.
Super solid. I think he does have going for him. He has beaten a lot of those guys that I think won the brackets those years. He was always back and forth with a lot of those dudes, and I think that he's another guy that just never really put it together at the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
You got his seats going into the tournament by chance?
Yeah, so 4th, 6th, 6th.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think he was just super consistent, solid, but never quite cracking on the very top of the, food chain with those guys. But, he's definitely solid.
I think he's kind of the type of guy that was he'd be a really good dual team guy.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that you can count on to go get a win. But when I think of the best to never win, I don't really think like Logan Storley.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard whenever they don't make finals.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I got Chris Fleeger. Just for the, I mean, it's just hard, 2-time finalist versus no-time finalist. You gotta.
I got Fleeger as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's definitely going to be Fleeger. I didn't get a second to talk about Storley. Man, I loved watching Storley. He was he was exciting to watch. He had that huge win over dude from Nebraska. What's his name? Losing his name.
Kokesh.
All right. So he had that huge win over Kokesh in the quarters. When Kokesh was either the 1 or 2 seed, and Kokesh was up by a point, and Storley like dove, and Kokesh was running away. Right. There's like 10 seconds left, and Kokesh literally chose to turn and run, and Storley just dove at his ankles and grabbed him and got the 2 and got the takedown. That was really cool, and I loved watching him. He was just a gamer. Dude always showed up and beat people he wasn't supposed to beat. He wasn't ever favored to be in a final, but he was definitely a guy that turned it on. So I think it's cool that he's in here, and it's good that we get to talk about him. But at the end of the day, it's definitely got to be Fleeger. So we're all Fleeger.
Yep.
All right. Cool. So jumping down, number 10, Tyrone Lewis versus number 23, Lance Palmer. Man, this one's crazy. I think for as far as Palmer goes, I remember watching him wrestle because, like I said, when I started really getting into wrestling hardcore, I was a huge Brent Metcalf fan, and this was like the match, man. Like everybody talks about, the last couple of years we had, Mark Hall, Zahid Valencia, big rival, Bo Nickel, Miles Martin, big rivalries like that. If you're a younger listener, like this is that rivalry, 10 years ago. And it was so much fun to watch. I think I would really compare it to that Bo Miles Martin rivalry, because Bo kind of got the better of Mymar most of the time, but Mymar got him once or twice. I think this is kind of the same thing where Palmer was right there with Metcalf every single time. I think he might have only got him once, but it was for a Big Ten title. And so Palmer made one final, was a 4-time All-American. Definitely one of the better guys to not win one. But let's hear about Tyrone Lewis.
Yeah, so Tyrone Lewis, 5th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd. I don't know if y'all have ever watched him wrestle in the finals against Troy Letters, but like he just starts bawling, crying after he loses on the mat, and like the announcers are like really complimentary of his career. Like they even say he might be one of the better people to never win. He's a guy that was just before my time, but like when I think of someone who was like the best to never win, he's definitely one of the people that come like first to my mind. But this is a super hard first round match.
Yeah.
So he was seeded 4th, 3rd, 1st in the NCAAs. And the year that he got 3rd, let me pull it up. The year that he got 3rd, where is he? Joe Heskett won it. A lot of these guys, like, I'm just not super familiar with. Matt Lackey got 2nd. Robbie Waller got 6th.
Who did he lose to in the finals?
He lost to Troy Letters.
Okay, yeah.
And Troy Letters was pretty young, I think.
Yeah, I think I don't know, man. This one's a little difficult for me. I think if you look at statistics wise, obviously the placements were a little bit better for Lewis, but if you look at the finals, Letters obviously great. Metcalf, I think I'd probably lean more Metcalf in that situation, who is maybe a harder one to beat. Man, I don't know. I'm interested to see what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because I'm not seeing. I mean, I don't know the guys that Tyrone was wrestling really a whole lot, so it's a little trickier. I'm gonna go with Tyrone. Just his stats are a little bit better, and I mean that's really what I'm going with on this one. I think Palmer had a great career, and beat Metcalf is a big deal, but I don't know.
Well, I'm going to leave Jack at the end because I don't think he's been at the end yet. So I'm going to go Palmer. I can lean both ways, but again, this is another one of those situations where I don't have a whole lot of personal knowledge on Tyrone Lewis. I've seen matches, I've heard great things, but maybe a little bit more of a bias for me watching Palmer so much. He really was great, and both of these guys, kind of were iffy with their seeds, like overperforming some years, underperforming some years. So I don't think that's really a big deal. But I'm gonna give it to Palmer with that loss to Metcalf, where he did also beat Metcalf. So I'm gonna give it to Palmer, and I'm gonna let Jack figure it out for us.
All right. I've got a few issues, first off, with the all-decade duels, and people were saying that Zane and Metcalf would be, like, super close. Zane was unreal. I don't think it would be that close. I think it would be Zane every time.
Yeah.
But I've got Palmer. And I've got Palmer because although on paper Tyrone Lewis has got better stats, obviously he's seated higher. Palmer's 8th. This is his weight class. First, Brent Metcalf. Second, Bubba Jenkins. Third, Jordan Burroughs. Fourth, Josh Torella. Fifth, Darian Caldwell. Sixth, JP O'Connor. Seventh, Dustin Schlater. Eighth, Lance Palmer. That is the toughest weight of all time. I will take that to my grave. That 8th place is like just as good as some people's national championship. So
insane.
That's wild.
I'm taking Palmer, but that weight class it's
I
unreal.
like it. Yeah, it's good. That's crazy. Yeah, that bracket's always so wild to even think about.
All right, let's move on to the next weight class, or not the next weight class, but the next matchup. So we're moving down. We've got number 7 Dylan Ness versus number 26 Zach Sanders. Battle of the Gophers. What are you guys seeing here?
You want to go, Seth?
So Dylan Ness, monster. What was he? 3-time AA?
4-time.
4-time. Was he 4-time? And then finalist. He's beaten some 2-time finalists, beaten some monsters. He lost to Martinez in a final, and who's his other loss in the final?
He lost to Martinez and Daringer. No, not Martinez. He lost to Molinaro and Daringer. He was supposed to.
Yeah. That's right.
Supposed to hit Imar his senior year, but that's the year he got hurt in the semis and had to forfeit out.
Yep. So he's a beast. One of the most exciting guys to watch, ever. Always letting it fly, doing some crazy stuff that dudes flipping dudes over from his back, pinning them somehow. Just nuts. And then Zach Sanders, also 4-time AA, I believe. Don't think he made – did he make a final? I didn't think so. He was
Zach Sanders went – do you have it up, Jacob?
Yeah, I do.
I can't find it on mine.
So
Zach
Sanders went – where is he at? Okay.
Like
6'5", 5'3".
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He was in that 3 to 5 range. He was, I mean, I'll go right away. I got Dylan Ness. That man, fun to watch. I know him a little bit. He's a monster. I think we actually got the same birthday, so that's kind of cool. But, he's a monster. He lets it fly. And he's beaten a lot of great guys. And he's one of the dudes that I think of when you say best to never win, just because he was right in my kind of time era. He's a little older than me, but I knew him a little bit, and I just always loved watching him. So he's a guy that I definitely think of. Zach Sanders, also a really good guy, fun to watch. I just feel like there was always guys that you knew he wasn't going to get by. Like he was right there, super good. He was super consistent. Like we said, I think about somebody else that he was a really good dual team guy. He was most likely going to get a win for the team, but he was just a little bit underneath those top tier guys. I feel like every year, where I think Ness could have won it any of those years, and he really was right there with those guys. And he ran into Molinaro and Derringer, and those guys are amazing. So
yeah. I mean, so we said Zach Sanders, 4-time AA. He went 6'5", 5'3". I think this is one of the easier ones where Ness made 2 finals, should have been in 3 if not for an injury. And so statistically, you have to go Ness here. I'm going to go Ness for sure. I think that if you look at Ness's career, he is 100% worthy of one of the best to never win. As a freshman, he lost in the NCAA finals to Frank Molinaro. And that was the Frank Molinaro that had, consistently got better every year, lost in the finals to Caldwell, and was just not going to be denied. So he lost to Molinaro. He got, what did he get, fourth or something? Yeah, fourth. And then when he lost in the finals junior year to Derringer, I think that might have been Derringer's first title. Maybe, I want to say, but that was kind of, when Derringer exploded onto the scene. And then senior year, it was just basically known that Ness and Martinez were going to meet up in the finals. Martinez got the better of him during the year. And probably would have in the finals anyway, but we didn't get to see it because Ness got hurt and had a medical forfeit all the way out of the tournament to get 6. So, dude should have been a 3-time finalist, and possibly could have beat IMR. So it's definitely Ness for me.
Yeah, I've got Ness as well. I mean, 2-time finalist, 4-time All-American. And I should probably be a 3-time finalist if you think about it. If he doesn't get hurt.
Yep, absolutely.
Ifs and buts. Who knows?
I don't think we have any 3-time finalists in here. So if that would have happened, he would have been the only 3-time finalist. But yeah, cool. So we're all agreement on that one. We'll go to the number 3 seed Colin Moore and the number 30 seed Dustin Manotti. So Colin Moore is definitely a recency kind of thing. Everybody knows Colin Moore. We even had a guy on Twitter comment and say Colin Moore wins the whole thing. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that at this point. But who knows? Who knows? He might make it. But I think I definitely got him in this match. I guess we'll talk about him for a second. Colin Moore was a 4-time All-American. Got better every year. I believe he went 4-3-2 and then was the 1 seed. And that's why we got him so high. A lot of people, I think, probably look at the bracket and wonder, why he's so high because of, this year. But what Jack did was went ahead and I think you gave them the seed they had, right?
Yeah. So for Colin Moore, obviously I didn't give him a first, but I gave him a second. So
yeah.
I gave him a second, Kolodzik a 6th. I just went ahead and gave him the seed.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it because I don't think it's fair to just throw him way down the list because he didn't get the chance. It sucks to have to give him credit for something he didn't actually earn, but I think that's definitely a better way to do it, and it's a hard situation. So
yeah, he dominated this year.
Yeah, and he was one of the Hodge front runners outside of Spencer Lee. I think it would have been his, So it's this is where it gets. It's a tricky one. It sucks. I feel really bad for Colin, but he's in now. He's gonna be known as, I guess, one of the best to never win. But yeah, he had a killer year, killer career, and I don't really know much about Dustin Manotti, but either way, I think Colin's one of my favorites in the bracket, and I'm going with him.
Yeah. For Manotti, looking back at his career, he went 8th, 4th, 6th, 3rd. He wrestled for Cornell. Bunch of wins. Obviously, a great guy. I think he kind of is one of the ones on here that maybe people weren't expecting to actually win a title, but snuck on because he had such a great career and really good stats and placements. But people definitely did expect Colin Moore to win a title this year, if not other years. His sophomore year, he's expected to win a title as well. So definitely Colin Moore for me. Seth, you said you had Colin Moore too?
Yep.
All right. And Jack?
Yeah, Colin Moore, for sure. But I've got a funny story about Dustin Manotti, actually. So his senior year, Garland was coaching at Cornell, and Manotti came in, 3-time All-American, was like, I don't want to wrestle. I don't want to do it. The only way I'm going to do it is if I don't run, I only practice when I want to, and I only practice with you. I don't want to be told what to do by Cole or anything. I just want to listen to you. And Garland was like, okay. And so he ended up getting third that year, but only wrestling with a 125 pounder.
That's crazy.
Every day.
That's so wild.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he just didn't do any conditioning, just went in a couple times a week with Garland and ended up getting third at NCAAs.
Hey man, sometimes people just know what's best for them, you know?
I get it. My body was breaking down. I'm sure same with Seth, but
I think that's one of the hardest things to figure out as a person too. You know, obviously I haven't been in the situation like you guys have, but in any situation, like a lot of times you know what's best for yourself, you know, and it's kind of hard to believe in that and go against what, you know, coaches or other people are telling you. And I mean, that sounds like it was a good decision for him because, you know, going from an 8, 4, and a 6, which are good, to 3 is, you know, it worked out for the best. So, but dude, these last 3 matches are all great. Starting with the next one is number 14 Mitchell Port and number 19 Craig Brester. Man, those seeds just don't make sense in my head looking at these 2 names. But that's part of the fun of it, and that's why I love the way that we seeded it. Man, you guys want to take it away on any of these guys?
I can do Brester real quick.
Okay.
He got 4th, 2nd, and both years that he got 2nd, he lost to Jake Varner in the finals.
Yeah. That's they
were both Big 12, so I'm sure they wrestled a ton. Brester was the 1 seed the first year that Varner won it, so I'm assuming he had a win in the Big 12s over Varner.
Man, I mean, right there, the only reason he didn't win a title is an Olympic champ, right? And this is a really tough one for me because that's really hard to get past. I mean, 2 second-place finishes, both to Jake Varner. You know, like you're saying, he possibly beat him in his career. But on the other end, Mitchell Port, I think, is definitely one of the best dudes on here too. He was brought up in our all-decade duels several times just because of how great his career was. He didn't place, you know, just like Brester, neither one of them placed the first year. But then after that, he went 2-3-2. And I can't remember the other final. Y'all have to help me out, but I know he lost to Stieber in one of them. I want to say it was Stieber and Zane.
That's right.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's as bad. That's as crazy as Varner. You know, like originally thinking about losing to Varner twice, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that guy definitely probably going to win. But Port losing to Stieber and Zane is the same thing, if not better. I mean, yeah, we definitely got to look at some of the wins. Like I keep getting caught up in who they lost to, and Seth keeps getting me back on track. But we gotta look at who they beat for this one for sure.
Yeah, I'm pulling up Port stuff now. I mean, the weight classes that Brester was in are pretty insane. Like 1 year it was Phil Davis, Wynn McCulloch, Hudson Taylor, Brester, Josh Glenn, and then Max Askren. Another one, it's Jake Varner, Hudson Taylor, Tyrell Todd, Cam Simaz, Max Askren. And then the last year is Varner, Brester, Simaz, Hudson Taylor again, Gelagayev, Brandvold. I mean,
that's pretty solid bracket right there.
Really tough. Seen 97 like that in a long time.
I mean, and you look at Port. I mean, Port had wins. He beat Anthony Ashnault. He lost in the finals to Logan Stieber 11-5. So I think there's something to say for not getting majored by Stieber.
He lost to Stieber twice.
And he lost to Stieber another time. Wait, he lost.
Maybe not.
He lost to Stieber in the duel that year by 3 points. Right. So he's right there with Stieber. Let's look at some other wins that he has. You know, he lost. Oh, dude, he lost in the NCAA championships. I think this might have been a semifinal, but tiebreakers with Zane. He lost in tiebreaker 2 with Zane. There's not a whole lot of huge wins on here, but I think that we have to take that into account. that
He beat Zane.
did he
I
beat
think.
Zane?
Yeah, the year that Zane got 5th, he beat him in the Conci semis.
Wow.
3-1
Okay.
over. Granted, Zane's a true freshman.
Yeah.
So you got to take that into account for sure. But that true freshman also beat Logan Stieber.
Yeah. But he also has a win over a 5-point win over Ashnault. That's a good one.
Yeah. Major Dardanes in the round of 12.
I'll go first. I'm going recency bias. I'm a Port fan. I'm going Port.
All right, I'll go next. I'm actually gonna go Brester just because the brackets you named off, for your Max Askren, Cam Simons, Brandvold, the dudes in there, he had to have knocked off a lot of those dudes if he was a 2-time finalist. So I'm going Brester.
But did he have a win over Zane? Did he hang with Stieber and Zane?
True freshman Zane.
I'm assuming he didn't have a win over Zane.
Yeah, let's see. I don't even know. Zane was a 8-year-old at the time or something.
I think this would be a way clearer decision if we looked on here and saw that Port got beat up by Zane and Stieber.
He did get beat up by Stieber. He handled him.
Okay, whatever. All right, he wrestled Stieber twice, and in one of those matches, it was 6-3. So
6-3 can be a pretty dominant win.
Absolutely. But can we think back about what Stieber did to people? Stieber destroyed everybody. Okay, so him just not getting majored by Stieber is something to be said.
You're making y'all's arguments. I'm enjoying this.
Make your pick.
This might be my only chance to ever have a win over Seth Gross. So I'm trying.
I've got Port.
Oh,
I'm
whoa!
a huge Zane fan. If he beats Zane, like freshman,
freshman Zane, didn't they wrestle later in their career?
Yeah, he said it was overtime.
It was overtime, tiebreaker 2.
They wrestled more than that even, I think. I think as Zane got older.
Only 2 I could find. Only 2 I could find. But, I mean, yeah, I think that was a big one for me. Like, I definitely was leaning Brester, and then seeing how close he was with Zane and, and with Stieber, even though, that was definitely going to be a controlled match by Stieber.
So you think a Zane win as a true freshman and then an overtime loss is better than this dude that probably beat, I don't know, I guess we didn't look it up.
Let's see who he beat.
Did he beat Varner at some point? Because if this dude beat Varner, you guys got it messed up out here.
How?
If he beat Varner, bro, that's a better Olympic champ.
This is Brester's ride to
Varner? Was it Varner a 3-timer or a 2-timer?
2-time. He was a 4-time finalist. You got second, first.
Okay, so this is his ride to the finals. The only person I really know is Hudson Taylor. He beat Hudson Taylor in the semis 1-0. Cam Simaz was on the other side. Galagayev was on the other side. Brandvold was on the other side. Varner was on the other side. Yeah, those are the people I named. Okay, Junior.
You're trying to use this bracket, and they were all on the other side.
Hey.
They were all on the other side.
And he made the finals, so he didn't have to see it. He only had to see one of them.
Okay, this one's a little tougher. I'll give him that. Cale Byers, I didn't even know was on his side. Clayton Foster's on his side, didn't All-American. Tyrell Todd was the other guy he beat. But he didn't beat Clayton Foster. Clayton Foster lost to Cale Byers, who was running for world teams and stuff at 97 kilos. But Max Askren was on the other side. Cam Simaz was on the other side. Varner was on the other side. Hudson Taylor was on the other side.
Wow.
All right, Jack, are you sticking with your pick or are you changing it?
I'm sticking with it.
Port. All right. Okay.
One last try.
That's another one, though, guys. Like that's another one just like we kind of – even better than we're talking about Isaac Jordan earlier, where if you stick Brester in almost any other match, I think he wins most of the other ones. But it's a tough one. So last 2, we've got Tyler Graff versus Montel Marion. Tyler Graff's the 11 seed. Montel Marion's the 22 seed. And the only reason for that is that Tyler Graff was a 4-time All-American and Montel was not because he didn't – I think he might have got beat out his freshman year, either that or he didn't make the tournament. Because I know he wasn't in the tournament at all. So we only got 3 years of Montel. But I'll take Montel real quick. Montel was like I said, 3-time All-American. He got second, I believe 4th second. And in his 2 finals is another situation where this dude lost to some of the greats of all time, right? He lost to Kyle Dake one time, and he lost to Kellen Russell. So that's another situation where, I hate talking about losses, but like there really are some losses where it's almost like you were the second national champion, like you lost to Cale Sanderson. Like I'm comfortable saying besides Cale Sanderson, you're the best dude in that weight, like I think that Montel was just right there and happened to hit some of the greats and had really close matches with them. So Montel was great. What about Tyler Graff? What do y'all think? What y'all got about him?
4-time AA finalist, third. I don't know what else.
2 fifths after that or before that.
He got better every year, so he went 5.532, right?
Yep. Made a world team last year. That was an awesome moment in wrestling to me. That was super cool when he made the world team. Just kind of bust out crying to tell how much that meant to him. But
oh yeah, that's a guy that if you're not pulling for him, like I don't know what's wrong with your heart, because that was really cool to see him.
Yeah, and I mean he was super solid, and just continued to get a little bit better, keep knocking on that door, and he's always right there. I mean, he lost that crazy overtime match to Ramos, and that was the year. That was in the finals, right?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about Graff.
Best stare down of all time.
Okay. So I just looked up Montel Marion's runs to the finals. The first one was kind of like everything fell into place. So the 3 seed got upset by Jermaine Lindsay. And then Jamal Parks, who was the 2 seed, got upset by Tyler Nauman, who was the 10 seed. So he didn't hit a seeded wrestler until the finals. Actually, he hit the 10 seed in the semis. But he didn't hit a seeded wrestler. So I was like, good. Wow, that's like kind of a pretty lucky run to the finals. I mean, whatever, luck, matchups, whatever.
That was the year he hit Dake, right? He lost like 7-3.
7-3. And then, I mean, Graff has had such a solid career. I looked up Montel Marion's second run to the finals. Second round beat Mitchell Port. Quarterfinals beat Boris Novachkov. Semifinals beat Kendrick Maple.
Wow. And then lost to Kellen Russell.
Overtime.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to say Marion here. All respect to Graff, especially on the senior level. He obviously had a better senior level, because I don't even know if Montel went senior level, but it's, yeah.
What was Graff's run to the finals?
Let's find it.
He wrestled Shop. Shop was on the opposite. Ramos beat Shop, I think, in this semis.
Is that 2014, you think? When do you think that was?
Yes, I think that was 2014.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Cody Brewer in the quarters, Joe Colon in the semis.
Wow.
That's tough.
Who was on the other side? Who did Ramos wrestle in the semis?
So Ramos beat Richards in the second round, Zane Richards in the second round, Mason Beckman in the quarters, AJ Shop in the semis.
That's what I thought. Wow.
That weight was pretty stacked.
That was stacked.
Yeah. I'm still.
Who did he lose to when he got third?
That was probably the year before, right?
Yeah, 2013.
One sec. I'm kind of all mixed up.
You're good. We do kind of got to move a little bit and get these last couple. I'm going to stick with Marion while you're looking. Just looking at, man, the 2 dudes he lost to in the finals and his run, like you said, senior year to the finals. I mean, he's got to win for me.
Graff got beat by Ramos in overtime. In the
semi. He got third too.
And then he beat the year he got third. And then he beat Dardanes, and then he beat AJ Shop for third.
All right, I'm gonna go with Graff, man. Wisconsin guy, solid career, kept getting better, and he had an overtime loss in the finals. I mean, he was definitely, that match could have went either way, and he lost overtime when he went to semis with Ramos. But I think it's another up in the air one, but the 4-time All-American, I'm gonna go with Tyler Graff.
Montel also had an overtime loss in one of his finals.
AJ Shop, Joe Cologne, and Cody Brewer versus Boris Novachkov, Mitchell Port, and Kendrick Maple.
Kendrick Maple's a good one.
Kellen Russell and Tony Ramos.
No, he's talking about wins.
Because they both have
wins. Yeah.
Shop's a big win. I think Shop could have been on this bracket. Yeah, where's Shop at?
Well, I only put 4-time AAs and 3-time All-Americans with 2 finalists.
What was he? He was a round of 12 freshman year, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. And I don't think he ever made a finals.
Yeah.
No.
He was freaking, bro. I still can't believe he lost first round, pinned just about everybody on the way back. That was wild.
Yeah.
Still unreal.
Who you got, Jack?
I'll go Montel Marion. I just think 2 finals is better than 4 All-Americans.
Hey, aren't you the one that sat here saying third can be just as good as second sometimes?
Yeah, but Graff sometimes one of those.
What's that?
Graff had 2 fifths. I don't know. You're right. Sometimes a third is better than a second, and probably in this case.
And you could argue that a fourth is similar to a fifth. Is you have 2 losses in both a fourth and a fifth.
Yeah, I think I like Marion. Let's keep an Iowa guy in here. For Iowa Twitter.
Whatever. All right, last one. We got a couple minutes and got to close it out. So the last one, we got number 6, Bo Jordan versus number 27, Lewnes. This one's crazy. I still don't have an inkling of which way I'm going. But I think, I'll take Lewnes, I guess, for a second. Lewnes, I believe, got 4th, DMP'd 2nd and 4th, I believe, is how it went. He, as a sophomore, was the number 1 seed in the tournament, and ended up DMP'd because he got hurt. So, it's safe to say he would have All-Americaned at least, I would think, out of the 1 seed as a sophomore, if not won the whole thing. So, that he was actually an undefeated 1 seed too. I think he was like 35-0. And so that's got to be a tough pill to swallow, being undefeated 1 seed and ended up not placing at all. And then his junior year, he was also undefeated heading into the tournament, was the undefeated 1 seed again. And that's when he met Jay Borschel in the finals, and Jay Borschel took him down. Lewnes hadn't been taken down the entire year, and Borschel took him down either 2 or 3 times. So, he really was awesome. He was in a lot of really hammer-filled brackets. I look back at some of those brackets, and, dude, there's some guys in there that I got to look them back up. And if we had time, I'd look them back up. But, man, he really was in some tough brackets. What do you guys think about Bojo?
So he got third, second, 5th, lost to Mark Hall in the finals. He was always a guy that was really good. Number 1 recruit out of high school. I think he kind of he was expected to be. He was beating Eimar. He beat Eimar in the Ironman finals. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just a guy that was always counted on. Captain as a freshman, so great personality, great leader, sort of thing. Just could never get it done, I guess.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start it off. I'm going to pick Lewnes. And the reason for me picking Lewnes, these guys are both great. And, statistics wise, we can argue all day. But at the end of the day, I think that, there was multiple times where Lewnes was seen as the guy to win the title and was the favorite. And I don't think Bo was ever the favorite to win the title. So I'm going to go Lewnes.
I think the undefeated seasons are pretty impressive.
Yeah. Especially when they're 30-plus wins in both of them.
I'll upset it. I'll go Lewnes.
All right.
Yeah, I'm leaning Lewnes too, just because I don't know. I like you said, Bo Jordan was a beast, super reliable, but I don't think I was ever shocked that, out of high school I would have said, hey, this dude's gonna win a national title. But once he got going and stuff, it was like, I don't know, the guys that beat him, I thought were gonna beat him, and I never was like, dang, I can't believe this dude never won.
Yeah.
And, I think Lewnes, being injured was tough, but he was 1 seed, made the finals, lost to Borsel, one of the really good wrestlers, obviously, in himself. But yeah, I got Lewnes.
Awesome. So we got the first round done. Man, that was fun. I'm looking forward to the second round. This is gonna be cool. So the second round, just a preview real quick. If you're not watching the video on YouTube, we're gonna have Hazewinkel versus Trenge, Simmons versus Percival, Caldwell versus Coon, Tannenbaum versus Snyder, McMullan versus Fleeger, Palmer versus Ness, Colin Moore versus Mitchell Port, Montel Marion versus Lewnes. Man, this thing is awesome. This is really cool. I'm glad we did this, but I got to run. So I know we gotta kind of cut it off and roll on to doing actual stuff in life. But we will be back and do the next round very soon. So make sure that wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening to this podcast, go on there and give us a 5-star rate and review. Follow us on Twitter, HMA Wrestling. I'm sure you probably already follow Seth and Jack on Twitter, and then myself, HMA Jacob. But we thank you very much for listening. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time.